Hi, my name is Corinne Hunt, and I worked with the West Multnomah Soil and Water Conservation District in the early 90s. My first conservation plan was back in 1987, and then I got involved with being on the board. It kind of evolved from my farm to try and help other people on their farms.
I'm Jim Robison. I was at first the part-time administrative assistant and then the district administrator for West Multnomah Soil and Water Conservation District from 2000 to 2007.
When I was there, Soil and Water Conservation District did not have employees and didn't have a lot of funding. So it was opportunities that we used other agencies or groups to get the word out.
I was able to actually do quite a bit of work with people in the community, and that helped to build up some of the resources that we had for the district, because for one thing, we could expand the grants that we had available to us by providing some direct services that we could work on, and then we could actually establish some contracts for other work. And that enabled us to get to the point where we could actually hire, at first, a part-time conservation planner. And getting a conservation planner on board allowed us to work directly with landowners on a lot more projects, and allowed us to expand some of our focus from just the agricultural land to also include a lot of the hillside land, creek land, where people need to be able to manage their forests, need to be able to manage invasive weeds, and really help to protect natural habitat, wildlife habitat. When we got the tax base, that allowed the district to actually bring on even more staff.
I'm Jane Hartline, and I have been on the board for several decades with a break in the middle. I've always been very passionate about conservation, particularly habitat conservation. So I think one big thing that has changed is our focus on invasive species. And they have gotten exponentially worse in the last 2 decades. These days, there are huge threats to both the urban and rural areas that our district's able to address that wouldn't have been addressed had we not had the tax base.
Well, I'll give you one example. So the Transportation Department in Multnomah County and the Parks Department would put logs in the creek to improve habitat, and the Transportation Department was taking them out of the creek. And it wasn't until the Soil and Water Conservation District got together and had meetings where all of these people worked together that they realized they were working against each other. So the Soil and Water Conservation District almost becomes a mediator in some ways.
Today, we're working with lots of different agencies. Now we're working with the SWCD Society, which is an international organization that does invertebrate conservation. We're doing more work with Portland Audubon. We've worked with different watershed councils in the region, and we're doing all the work we're doing on diversity and inclusion and trying to reach out to communities that have never heard from us before or gotten our services. And now we're working with a lot of urban landowners who have an acre or more, and we are able to offer services to what's really the majority of our district. Although I've always thought that the people who live in town who don't benefit directly from our services still appreciate what we do, because they really appreciate having a beautiful rural area and having natural areas that are close to their houses where they can come out and enjoy nature.
So improvements to Dairy Creek and Sturgeon Lake was something that had been an off and on project for the district for quite a while. Work had been done previously, and then some of it had failed after the '96 flood. And so it was a project that we knew had to be looked at again and had to be worked on, but there wasn't much focus on it for a number of years. As we improved our work with the Drainage Improvement Company and with the wildlife area management, we were able to really pull that project forward, and that was one that made a big change over the years. At the time that I left the district, it was not yet at the stage where there would be action, but it was at the stage where it was on the front burner instead of the back burner again.
We have a great staff who really think in terms of partnerships and how can we make this a bigger program by not just kind of doing our own little thing, but throwing it out there and sharing the project with other people that have expertise maybe that we don't. I am just really proud of all of the work the district's doing these days. It just seems like it gets broader and is helping people in new ways and really keeping up with what the needs are, both of the people and the land.